What's up, Team Diesel? We are here today with Coach Mikey, and we are going to attack a band connection routine. Think of these routines, we can do them pre-training, practice, skill work. We can do them post as like a recovery, kind of rejuvenation. But really all it is connecting the dots, meaning like we're going to go through a squat, a stationary split squat, and then a hip thrust variation, all kind of focusing on the core and the connection. But really you think connection, think from the ground up, sure. Think the kinetic chain. So you think like I want my foot to be in line and controlled through the body and really be able to kind of communicate within each other. And if you see it within your joints, if they're kind of a little off, or maybe a lot of our rotational guys, they get their pelvis shifted one way just because they throw one way a lot, it's like, well, what we've realized is it don't matter how much you do some of these work, if we don't get that proper position back and that awareness and feel into that body, which takes some of these routines or these kind of efforts and intent, there's kind of a disconnect, and you don't see a lot of the actual performance, all the weight training, all the heavy things you're doing, and all the power stuff. You just don't see it transfer over. So these are kind of the little details that I think some people may be missing, but you fill these in a little bit and you start to take control of your body, and you're really going to be amazed by what happens. So first one we're going to do is a Sissy Squat variation. You'll see all these reps are going to be controlled eccentrics. Think 5 seconds down, pause, and then we're going to come all the way up. But what we're looking for in connection drills is complete ranges of motion, all right, through the joints. So Mikey's going to start in this one, and usually we might do 2 sets of 5 reps of each one of these. So Mikey's going to start in a squat position, all right, and then he's going to drive down just to get some good feel of the ground. All right, he's pressing through his big toe, his little toe, and the heel. The core is nice and strong. We almost might posteriorly tuck it just so we overemphasize that pelvic floor, and then he's going to drive up through. Yes, good. Now you see he comes up on his toes. So when you're on that inside edge, that forces that glute on, all right, and then he's got that tuck of that pelvis, which a lot of times we feel athletes are anteriorly tilted. Maybe it's from sitting, maybe it's just lifestyle, but this is a way to kind of get at some of these regions, especially our core positioning, especially kind of connecting that end range of that extension pattern here. Good, he's cracking a little bit. He's gonna come all the way up through, good extend, and then he's gonna find those heels back down, and that would be a repetition. Now he's gonna go back to a squat. All right, so what you just saw Mikey do was he went to a normal squat, then he challenged himself to shift his weight forward, putting pressure on the front side. Also by maintaining pressure inward, he's now pushing through the big toe, which is gonna connect his hip. There's that connection pattern. The core is connected there, that's well, and then he's gonna follow suit, eccentrically grooving the ability to be strong through here, and also kind of work that ankle position. Good, Mikey, that's good. So that would be our Sissy Squat variation. Again, we're usually only doing two sets of 5 reps, but you can see controlled intentful movements. Exercise number 2, a stationary split squat variation. It's really good. Anything split stance is really good for rotational athletes. You're transferring weight if you're a pitcher, a golfer, we go from here to here. So a split stance is pretty important because again, it's gonna be that max end range extension pattern. All right, if you see right here, Mikey's gonna put that band right here underneath that hip. All right, and he's gonna work on max hip extension in that. Well, what does that look like in real life? Well, if you're a golf swing, we're coming here and we're extending through the ground. So if we can't fully extend from here, well, where do we usually extend from here? Same thing with our pitching. We're coming off here and we're extending, but eventually if we can't extend from the hip anymore because we're glued up here, well, it's gonna be here. So this one is just one if you have low back pain, if you just feel like maybe your ankles are a little gunked up or they hurt when you run, it's like, man, just doing a couple of these things, dial in that movement a little bit. Next thing you know, you're like, oh, I don't really have pain, because we're really finding out where you're lacking some stability, and we're really putting it in a position, turning things on, and then you see that all those tightnesses go away. Your body's not tight because it's tight and needs to be stretched. It's tight because it's unstable. All right, so let's give it some stability, Mikey. All right, so here we go. So he's gonna go down in a controlled manner, all right? This thing's pulling forward. If you look from the side, we wanna keep that knee right underneath that hip. He's got huge pressure through that back toe, and then he's gonna keep that glute on the entire time. Mikey's gonna find my hand in the back of his head, yes. He's gonna push, pull, reaching, driving. Now we're getting that twist. Look at that glute, it's on, that core is laser. See that little bit of shaky shake in Mike? That's good because he's in a new range. You shake a little bit, that's fine. Lock all that in, come up with control, and now he's gonna come all the way through. We want full extension. That's pulling you through an extension. Now you have to own it. Good, top legs also driving. Top leg super important. Look at pictures. If you can't stabilize here, you're gonna fall over. You ain't gonna hit your spots. All right, lock that in. Big toe pressure. Look at Mikey, he's got that. Get that down through the heel. Glute is on. Let's show him another rep. All right, now he's gonna control it. Back pressure locked in. He's tucking that pelvis strong. And then he's finding that big pressure back. Good. Again, check yourself. If those glutes aren't on when you're moving, then you're disconnected. So let's keep the hips on. Keep everything connected. Good. Driving. Good exhale. If you want to challenge yourself, hold. Let's talk about the front leg. Push back a little bit. Push back. Ooh, there it is. You got a little more. There it is. There it is. So you can see it's an equal. It's like a scissor effect. This pushes back. This pushes forward. That's called connection from the sling. Let's drive it up. Good, and relax. We're only gonna do one leg because Mikey just crushed that. Woo. All right, but like I said, 2 sets of 5 each with that intent, all you need, and you go back out there and you start to throw, and next thing you know, you're like, ooh, I feel a little better. All right, give it a try. Last exercise of this band connection series, all right, is gonna be a single arm, single leg hip thrust press. All right, so Mikey's gonna set it up. We're gonna use the same band. As you see, we've been using the same black band. All right, there's a lot of different resistant bands out there, but it's a lighter, medium to light band. But again, all it does is just give you a little bit of awareness and feel. So if you're not in position, it's going to pull you out a little bit. So it just turns kind of things out in the right manner. So this last exercise, it's going to be from the ground based. All right, so big things we're looking on here is he's going to drive through the left side. We're going to go about 90 degrees here. All right, when you flex the knee, it should turn the hamstring off. So if you see your hamstring starts to cramp, or it's, that's usually telling us that our hip is disconnected here. All right. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna drive hand flat, exhale, all right, low back is flat. And then what he's gonna do is he's gonna extend his hip up, and then he's gonna press in unison, and then he's gonna hold that, Mikey. I'm gonna have you hold that, all right? And usually we do these for reps. You can do them for time, that end range. It depends on what you need. Now this is the stickiest range right there. That's top end range of hip extension, all right? And this just works now what? Our connection pattern. So it becomes a rotational, really good rotational drill because we're working our slings. Mikey, give me 3 reps here. Work that exhale as he comes up. Hips driving in. Look at this connection. Good, good, good. All right, you feel that in the glute?
Oh yeah.
Good. And relax, drive down. If he was disconnected, just give me an arch here. That's an arch, a little disconnect. Let's see how you come up with. Where do you feel that?
Kind of falling over.
All right, so you can see how if you aren't in position, if you're at home trying this, and you feel like you're all over, well then let's just isometric hold it, find that position where the rib cage is connected down through the floor, and we got some good angle here. Let's do one more. And we'll drive up. So the single arm, single leg hip thrust is a great variation because we're working opposite sides, cross patterns, all right? And it's got you the ground, so if you can't feel that low back or you need it, you have the ability to feel it. Good job, Mike, you crushed that. So, last exercise there was that press, but again, it's working cross patterns. So if I'm working this hip, this arm, with this, it's the same thing that pulls us. It's the same thing that we're working and go, boom, it's pulling us. So it's kind of the first step in the technique of rotating, I think, which some people might forget about, is like rotation is a skill, so we need to train it. Mikey, how'd that feel?
Felt great. Everything's turned on now.
Turned on. So a lot of times you might wake up and you're like, oh, my hip hurts, my shoulder hurts, this, that. Well, maybe the pain's just telling you a little bit out. All right, so do some of these things kind of in tune with the body. Next thing you know, it's like, oh man, it doesn't hurt, all right? It only hurts if the machine's kind of out of position. Well, once you put it in position, give it a little bit of stability, it goes a long way. And then you start to do your skill work, you do your training, and I think big things happen. So give it a try.